creativity, but it also handed me a lot of just self-loathing. It also handed me a lot of insecurity. It handed me a lot of emotional immaturity, is the way I would describe it, because at least in my perspective, when you're growing up as a dancer, you're asked to be extremely mature in a certain way, but you're like 15. And so you're 15, but people are treating you like you're much older. And for a lot of us, if you're more precocious in your technique, then you end up being with older people as well. So that makes it worse because you might be in there with 20-year-olds. So you fake it to like make it through that process. But what happens is you kind of get stunted a little bit emotionally. And I can say that of myself and honestly of a lot of the dancers I've known over the years, where there's like a strange kind of emotional stuntedness. And we are in the studio so much that if you're not teaching kind of emotional coping skills in the studio, we're not necessarily getting it from other places. And then combine that with, just being in the 90s, that was just not a thought, right? That was not a thing. We didn't think about that in the 90s. I'm sorry to say, it wasn't a thing. And so I'm happy to see so much more resources now and like my own kids learning about emotions and how to cope with them, even like in school. But just as a background, I think that was just so not in the picture. And so when I founded 5/8, I had this desire to distill down, but I had to walk through a lot of things to figure out what that actually looked like practically. So I think that was like a restlessness that I carried for, I'd say at least the first 5 or 6 years of the company, of being like, okay, this is how my teachers did it. And so that felt like default mode, to be very stern or to have like really hierarchical ways of thinking of like my opinion has to be the most valued because I'm the teacher or the director or whatever it was. And realizing slowly over the years, like, oh, that's not what I actually think or believe. That's just this kind of water that I've been swimming in and I've been used to, and I haven't questioned it. And so I think that's where this process for me came of kind of unraveling what is essential, right? Turnout. It's essential. You can't really do ballet, or at least classical ballet, without turnout, right? You have to be able to be expressive, musical. These are essential things. But then there's some things that are non-essentials. And that real strict sense of hierarchy is a non-essential. Having, this unyielding atmosphere is not essential. And figuring that out, I think, took me some time. And I'm excited to see more and more how that's impacting the next generation. Because as teachers, once you learn more and you know more, then you're able to do better. And then your students can stand on your shoulders, which is something that is really exciting to me.